Easy, big guy. Hold on.
Komg! Komg! Komg!
Hello, my name's Duncan and welcome to Baft Books and Back Away from the Donkey. Or is it Back Away from the Donkey and Baft Books? It depends which order I say them in. Anyway, it's Giant April and we are today talking about when Judge Dredd met King Krong. Who is King Krong, you say? Well, even the sort of history of King Kong managed to weed his way into comics like 2000 AD. For those who don't know, 2000 AD still exists, a comic that's been going since 1977, and one of its greatest things was Judge Dredd. Here's one of the original comics. Can you believe when we used to order them at the newsagents, they used to write your name in the corner of them? That's actually mine. This is one I picked up second hand because my original ones went missing. And this is on the worst paper possible. But early on, there was only like a double colour page spread in the middle. But as early as program number 5, each issue program, prog number 5, we had a bit of King Kong. Because King Kong was always into the sort of zeitgeist. Hey, I got to use the word zeitgeist. So in this big collection here I've got of sort of part 1 here, we have King Krong. We have, but if you notice, the pages are a wee bit smaller than the original size of the comic. Let me hold that up in front of you. But also they are not coloured. So in 1983, a company called Eagle Comics was formed by some of the people from 2000 AD to sell stories from 2000 AD to the American market. This went on to 1986 when it was taken over by a thing called Quality Comics, who went on for about another 3 years, and they took across some comics like some Judge Dredds, some Strontium Dog, the adaptation of Harry Harrison's Stainless Steel Rat for President, which I've got copies of somewhere, which I will go through one day. But these were in this format. I have this issue here is the first issue of when Quality Comics took over from Eagle Comics, and this is for King Krong, which I will show you here. Now, I'll show you that there. And actually on the screen I'll put a nice big picture of that anyway. But as you see, it's still smaller than the original comic. But the advantage, yeah, it's still smaller. The advantage that we did have is the fact that they'd coloured them. So this was a bunch of Judge Dredd stories, and one of these was from Prog 5, the King Krong. This artwork on the front was not shown when it was originally printed in 1977. So this is 1983. So I'm assuming, I can't find any record of this, that this was done specifically for this American edition. And the art is actually by the famous Brian Boland, because there on that side there it says Boland. And Brian Boland did some great Judge Death issues, fantastic art. There's a copy of a famous Judge Death story, which is Look into the Fist of Dredd, which my friend's done a poster of it for me, which is fantastic. But yeah, so let's get on to King Krong. So King Krong, this was in Prog 5, so Judge Dredd hadn't really developed that much as a character, so a lot of the stuff that was in place in later issues wasn't there. He was sort of, you know, they were taking a while to develop him. So it was drawn by the wonderful Carlos Esquera, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong because it's a Spanish name, who sadly died, I think it was last year. And that is the first page of it there, which I think is fantastic. So the story starts with Judge Dredd in his apartment. And what's interesting about the apartment that's shown in here is the fact he's in a penthouse, whereas later on in later lore in Judge Dredd he's in a basement one. But somebody is making it look like a sort of palm trees and that, and he's wondering what's going on. And it's basically his housekeeper has brought in a salesman for a company called Sensorround. Fun fact for you, there was a Sensorround thing in the cinemas at the time that used to shake the cinemas for the film Earthquake. And basically Judge Dredd chucks them out of the house. So this story is not the most complex. It is quite a simple and straightforward story. So basically, his name was Neil, and his Judge Dredd's housekeeper in that. I don't think she hangs around for very long, because later on we get Walter the robot, who ends up being like Dredd's housekeeper. But basically, Judge Dredd goes back to work, and there is a bunch of murders involving creatures attacking people. And as you see here, there's a big tentacle going around there, and these creatures are actually from a old film studio, and people have got bored with films at the time, so that you've got all these mechanical special effects creatures that somebody has set on to murder people. So Judge Dredd's going around and he finds out that it's the guy, the salesman from Sensorround, who basically used to be a filmmaker, and he's obviously just frustrated the fact that nobody enjoys these anymore, so he decides that people need to die. And one of his biggest claimants was King Krong. And so if you look at King Krong with his big hand flipping Dredd across, and after that he's breaking up the motorways, and Dredd's not sure what to do. But in the end, Dredd manages to win as he drives his bike and explodes the head of King Krong. And I love the ending of this, because at the ending of this, the gorilla sort of falls on Anil, and Anil's just happy because they're all going to be together. And that's just what it is, they're all together. So yeah, that's it. So that is when Judge Dredd met King Krong. It's a very, very simple story. Not one of the best Dredd stories, but it's really nice how it's gone into the zeitgeist. As I said, it was issue number 5, Prog 5. So that would have been in 1977-ish, I think, when it was originally released. There's some later issues with some stuff with giant apes in that I will get to in a later video. But I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of when Judge Dredd and Galaxy's greatest comic met King Krong. And I will speak to you in the next video.